A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Good evening, everyone. It's your old Baron here. Hey, John, how you doing there in the chat, and anybody else who's in there? Welcome to the show tonight. A little bit of a scheduling conflict here. Unfortunately, Salty Texas C is unable to make it tonight, so which is understandable. Life comes first. So, hope to have him next week. And I can't wait to be able to talk to him about things such as his excellent series he did about the fans' reaction to the Rings of Power. And hi, Leia Rose, how you doing? Good to see you wandering over here as well. And I'm going to have hopefully a couple of secret people coming in here very soon who will be joining me. Until then, you only got me. And that's scary. That's absolutely scary. Of course, the seasons are changing now. Things are getting warm days, cool nights, at least up here in the great northern states here. And I'm liking it. This is my time of year. I just had my birthday last Wednesday, to be exact. And my daughter, she turned 21 on Sunday. So she had her first legal drink, and notice the important word legal. That day, we had a nice family gathering. So that's a little bit of my personal life there. Was talking with, of course, Pacific 404 and the gang over there about a little bit about that. She has herself a very fancy gaming computer now. So, I mean, she's gone hardcore geek. It surprises me on that one. And I mean, I got to be kind of proud of that. Definitely. And thank you, John. Thank you so very much for that happy birthday. Happy birthday to every girl and boy. We used to have a guy by the name of Casey Jones on our local television here, and he would sing the happy birthday song. And it was just every time, every day or every time he was on there. And sometimes he'd even list off the people's kids' names that were sent into the studio to the station. So they'd have that special moment where Casey Jones read off their names. Unfortunately, Robert Awesome is his name. He's not longer with us, and that was one of the joys that we had back in the day, where you had your local celebrities, your local kid shows that were done by the local talent aimed for basically the people in the area. The last one I really remember is Bozo that was in Chicago, and they don't have that no more. And thanks, John. Thanks, very kind of you. And I think it's kind of a sad thing that we don't have that local. Uh, Everything's gone so huge, so big. We don't have that local thing no more. That special touch that we did when we were growing up. And of course, everything's now with you know the phone. Everything's worldwide. Everything's instant gratification, as you might say. Um, I don't know. There's been many exciting things. Unfortunately, the other day I heard that Loretta Lynn passed away at the very respectable age of 90 years old, the coal miner daughter. Um, so that was another one of the celebrities who have left us. It just seems like we're getting more and more of those every day, and that vacuum is not quite filling up. And yes, I was listening to Pops on his show, and what's this? Oh man, I didn't know I sent you a link. Do you get it from Mike? Oh, okay, man, there we go. Mike, I tell you, good old Mike, always a troublemaker.
Yeah, indeed. Mm-hmm. Now you're stuck with me.
Looks at yes, definitely. Hopefully, they're finishing up over there and be able to come over this way and have a little bit of
talk. That's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like this is what you call the crossover episode. This is like crossover episode. I mean, from the great, go from one show to another show, the crossovers.
Oh yes.
So here we be on that kind of. I can't remember what I was talking about here again. But I was talking with Pops. Pops had his channel, and that was popped in. They're talking about Judge Dredd, and of course, Pops Shane. He says we missed your shorts, so I'm going to be getting to work on that here and start up those again here very quickly, which is. I have to admit, I have been very, very neglectful on. So, bad me. So, of course, again, so we will bring in the first of our crossover, Mr. Mike from Pacific 414. There he is, Pudge Dredd. Yes, it was Pudge Dredd. And
hello, Mike. Hello,
in God we trust, and all of it play cash money. And here we are.
And it is the real deal this time.
Yes, I have to put the real one because Crit's trying to be me again, and I can't have that.
Crit money, yeah, he's jealous of you.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's all right.
And we got there Phil McCracken. Hey, Phil, how you doing there, Mr. McCracken? And of course, speaking of the devil right there, Everest Productions and good old Crit Money himself there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like earlier, I just want to say that we had Leah Roses in the chat with us, and of course, my super rich Mr. John Rendell.
Nice.
Yeah, he keeps things. He keeps things in line. And what we got here? We have Anna Moss. Yeah, unfortunately, not no Salty. He's not. He's not feeling good. So. But you know what's the nice thing is I don't have that music video to put out there.
Well, we can just sing it. It's not hard.
Hello. Hi, good to see you. I'm not wearing my New Zealand shirt tonight, unfortunately. I'll make sure I wear it again, maybe on the pod or something like that for you. So, okay, great. You brought over those articles.
Yes, I did.
Anonymous.
You can't make me anonymous. It's very clever, man. I showed it to my brother, too. He loves the song, Anonymous. You're going to have fans, dude.
I get some of the residuals.
Yes, definitely.
How much? How much residuals do you get here? I mean, I'm missing out on all this money. I need cash money as my agent. Drop
Actually, the
Paul and
truth,
have me.
the truth is, I just dream about it, and the dream hasn't come true.
It's like that
It's just
song.
one of those fantasies.
Right. The dream is
Oh.
over. Hey now, hey now.
It's like a daydream. And then somebody smacks you back to reality, and you go, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Mhm.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll work on that, Anonymous. We'll work on that.
Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely do that.
Your opinions are always welcome, Anonymous. You should know that. I've told you
You know,
before. Yep.
Adonamai should have his own show.
Yeah.
It's getting anonymous. But yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for coming over, filling in at the last minute. Being that, unfortunately, like I said, poor Texas LTC was under the weather and such. So I am happy that you're able to come to bat for me, you might say, because I don't know what I would do by myself on a show like this.
And he's really glad that you came, so then he's not stuck with me.
Yes, even more so. And on the other show, of course, Mike was talking, had a bunch of topics going on, and he obviously didn't finish because there was Phil McCracken and the old man over there, and kind of got a little sidetracked, you might say. But we do have. I said, we can not only can we just shoot the breeze, we can also talk a little bit of this as well. Keep it kind of nice and loose, and hopefully interesting. So if you're ready here, this is one of these things he was talking about. We left off, just so everybody know, we left off talking about the fact that the Star Trek films are right now not on Paramount Plus after they yanked it off of everybody else. But more than likely, they'll be back on there sometime soon. Paramount. Always been a problem. I got this article here. Oh, sorry.
It's just an example of why you need to buy the physical copies.
Right. 24/7, myself, yourself, Mike, Cash Money, we all have been preaching that. Uh, you know, don't think that having these things on streaming services is going to be wonderful
Having
at
only
all.
digital stuff, I just can say is not the any kind of DVDs, whatever those. Just having that physical is just a better option. But just
Mm-hmm.
having both options is fine. You want to buy stuff on digital, you want to, like, even Val is smart enough to understand that we're not going to screw people over on their
Mm-hmm.
libraries. We'll find a
Right.
way to give you guys these games that you spent money on. So we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to mess around with that nonsense. So, but these other companies,
Exactly.
oh, here it's gone. Oh, you want to play this online game? Oh, no, 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 go screw off. This
Well,
happens a
remember,
lot with mobile games as well.
mm-hmm.
Even if you find a fun one, even if you find some on your tablet or your phone, it's like just rare. You're like, oh, this is cool. Year later, gone, done. Just couldn't keep up with the content or weren't interested or whatever. Yep.
Well, they had that one Star Wars game that they had on there that they
Mm-hmm.
took off. Actually, two
Team
of them,
Assault.
and
Team
yeah.
Assault was really good. I don't know if you played that
Mm-hmm.
one with the cards. That was a lot of fun. Yep.
No, I didn't play the card one. No, and then of course the Harry Potter, their version of going after and trying to catch them all. That's no longer on there. And I know that was popular with a lot of people. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just it. It's not that they're not popular. A lot of these games are popular, but for some reason we don't want to put anything more into it. So,
Right.
but I got this article here. Thank you, of course, Pacific 414 for sending it this way from the Comic Book News. I feel like I'm on the Kings here now. The CW sale goes through with Mark Pedowitz replaced. Netflix Media Group announced today that it has closed its previously announced acquisition of 75% ownership interest in the CW network. This article is by Matt McGloin, and this was dated the 3rd of this month. Nexstar Media Group has announced the closure of the acquisition of the CW network. With it, learned Mark Pedowitz, who served as the head of the network, has left after 11 years. Dennis Miller that can't be the same Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller replaces.
We know.
No, Dennis Miller replaces Pedowitz and has been named president of the CW effective immediately. Miller has served as a member of Nexstar's board of directors since 2014 and has stepped down from the board in connection with his appointment. Nexstar has initiated a search for a new member of its board of directors. Pedowitz emailed his goodbye to the staff, where Deadline offers Pedowitz will be reviving his Pine Street Entertainment Production Company, see below. Under Pedowitz, the CW developed all the DC shows under the Arrowverse, which includes Arrow, The Flash, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Black Lightning, Batwoman, and Superman and Lois. The CW is also airing Gotham Knights. With the sale of the CW, most of those DC shows have been canceled, as The Flash will air its final season next year, and Superman and Lois is no longer part of the Arrowverse, which will have its season 3 also airing next year. The status of Superman and Lois after season 3 on the CW presently unknown, as is Gotham Knights, if it makes its way to another season. So there we go. Looks like there's a little bit of shaking up going on out there.
Dumb question. Is going to be good or bad?
Don't know. I mean, myself, I don't have a finger on that pulse, to be honest with you.
Well, what kind of Pedowitz?
Well, what do you think, Mike?
From Mike and Cash.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I really don't know what to think. We don't know what direction the network's going to go into now under this new management, and who's to say that the network's even going to survive?
Right, exactly. Can they, even before this all happened, they had some good ideas with their CW show, even Supergirl, even Batwoman, not the main characters, the first season. But then they just squander it. It's either becomes too many politics. They don't want to connect with the Arrowverse. They even had some really good crossovers, surprisingly, on the CW. But their last one wasn't that good. They ran into some problems that they just... It wasn't, but the other ones before that were actually quite enjoyable. Like all these companies, especially like with the CW, they can do things right, but they're so obsessed with the politics, and then they change the characters. So if you watch Supergirl, you're like, oh well, not that I'm saying you need to, but if you watch Supergirl, it's like they're the villains. They can't get them right. They start getting the villains, like some episodes. Oh, okay, cool. Like when they brought in Lex Luthor. But they don't get other stuff right. And so these characters suffer. Either like Alex, who is Kara's adopted sister in Supergirl. But CW, like Crit just pointed out, it is a mess. And they have good ideas, and then they squander them. Then they have some other good ideas, then they squander them. Then they have some good storylines, then the other storylines they go and characters are whining too much. And it's too bad. But they have potential there, and then it just gets squandered usually.
So what do you think this is going to do for the relaunch of Babylon 5?
I don't know.
I'm sure
I haven't thought about that, so I've never really watched Babylon 5, so I don't have really much of an opinion on that. But
yeah, because it was being developed to be going on the CW, and it's been put on a hiatus, not canceled, just hiatus because of all this.
Right. Yep. So it could be better, it could be worse. It just depends. They have ideas even with a cheaper budget, but they squander them, and they just keep doing it. It's just too bad. So
yeah. Well, I know what you mean.
This might be better, might not be. Who knows?
It is just a wait and see situation.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, I guess a lot of this stuff, if I may here, we're looking at Mark being the head honcho. And no matter how you look at it, he's the guy that's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be controlling all of this stuff underneath him. And it sounds like here at the end, he was falling apart. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, they made decisions that were just not good, and so their ratings suffered because of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we gotta remember also that CDLB came out of that kind of that redheaded stepchild type of thing between UPN and the
WB or
the
whatever.
WB network. Yeah.
Yeah, it
When
did.
those were available.
Yeah, and shows like Buffy and some of that other stuff, Angel, like they were just well written shows, even though we already know about Joss Whedon, but they were still well written shows.
And the
Dawson's
only shows that
Creek,
ever
different ones, yeah.
And the only shows that ever gave UPN any kind of ratings were Star Trek related or WWE related.
Right. That was the big thing for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it was kind of funny because back when Straczynski was doing the Crusade, the sequel series for Babylon 5, the network TNT, of course, big wrestling at that time, were trying to pressure him to put wrestling stars on his show, which he did not like. So what happened? Voyager, of course, on the UPN network, all of a sudden you start seeing The Rock showing up in connection with all the wrestling that they had on UPN.
Yeah, I mean, they had to do something.
Yep, definitely.
Well, some of those wrestlers are actually pretty doggone good actors.
They have a personality already, so I guess it would make sense that they would go into acting. They don't always pick the best movies. I mean, The Rock's been in some awful films.
Yeah, he has been, and so and Jesse has been in a couple bad ones as well. Now the other one here, and I have no idea where to go with this one. It's from Bounding in from into comics. It looks like it's dated on October 3rd, and boy, this is when I wish Brandon was here.
Yeah, so this is Near Armada.
Okay, Near Armada drop. Okay, anime drops new teaser confirming series release date. Original story by creator Yoko Taro. At least it wasn't Yoko Ono. And look, and
if it was, she'd break up the Beatles again.
Again, yes, she'd dig them up and work them up.
Dang, that animation looks just like the game. Wow, that's wow.
Just a few months following this initial announcement, the upcoming anime entry in Squared Enix and Platinum Games futuristic apocalyptic series Cash.
Near Armada?
Thank you. Has received his first official trailer. I'm kind of like Paul trying to say, what was that he was trying to say the other day?
The Janolan.
Yeah, Janolan. Yeah, Janolan.
Janolan, yes.
Yeah. This is my Janolan. During Anaplex's third annual online festival on September 25th, fans were thrown for a loop when A1 Pictures released a pair of promotional trailers for the upcoming anime installment of the franchise. A1 production kicked off the Near Armada. How did I do?
You got it.
Great. Showcase with the introduction of the Automa Stoic female protagonist to be, or not to be. As her official character profile, 2B is a general purpose combat android and member of the elite military force of Yorha unit.
Yeah, I think you're pronouncing that right.
Okay. Struggling to remain faithful to the rules banning androids from having feelings, her personality is considered to be exceptionally calm and collected, even amongst her fellow, like programmed Butler Type B android. Receiving his own trailer, next up was to be scanner type partner 9S. And I'm not going to play those. No offense. One of Yorha's unit search and investigation specialties, Nine's primary role is to gather information for the group's combat models, including 2B. Due to his position, 9S has developed an inquisitive personality. Not only that, but 9S is considered to be one of the most emotionally expressive androids, the complete opposite of 2B. With the premiere of these trailers, original narrator creator and Ver 1-1A writer Yoko Taro appeared alongside anime director, I'm not even going to try, my apologies, to discuss the upcoming series lore and development. According to, again, when he was first approached by Aniplex to helm Vera 1.1, he was taken aback by the fact, you're laughing, the fact that the project protagonists 2B and 92 had their eyes covered. This, he explained, was because eyes are considered a significant source of symbolism in anime. Nevertheless, he noted that he was thrilled to undertake the challenge of bringing their story to the small screen. And he just talked about recalling his own experience. Charles said that when he was first approached by Aniplex to create the near anime, he found himself. This is written oddly here. He found himself that they had asked him so long. Remember, these are the people who write this stuff and talk down to us, and asked him so long after the Anima's release as anime tie-ins to video games normally release together in order to gain synergy in the way of increased sales.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody in Bounding the Comics really talking down to people, though.
No, I know. I know.
Some of
not
these sites don't. Yeah.
Actually, they're one of the better ones. We have to sit back and say that they are one of the better ones. And so, I mean, I have to sit back and say, even though I've been watching some game myself, immersed a little bit more in anime and been on Brandon's show a couple of times,
Yeah.
I am, I have to defer this to you, Cash. You're the one that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with Brandon because a few years ago I started watching a lot more anime. But no, the artwork that they're showing already for 2B looks amazing. I've played some of this game. I haven't finished it yet. I've thought about I'll probably finish it at some point. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a hack and slash. So you're running around, you fight big monsters like big robots. It's a lot of fun, and you're dealing with the fact that she may not want to follow the rules anymore, that she wants to be more of feel like her own person. And her friend, what was it, 2B and S9, I think they said, right?
Yeah, that's
in the article. I think S9 is the kid, is the android boy, teenager, whatever. Yeah, and so they find a way to work together. It's an interesting story, but you got to enjoy a hack and slash. But it's pretty fun from what I've played. I will go back and finish it.
Nothing wrong with hack and slash. That's what I got to say.
No.
A friend of mine who, well, he speaks and reads Japanese fluently. Not Japanese. He is a Caucasian, 100%. But he had quite a bit of time he spent in Japan. And was hooked into some game that they're playing over there that's not being played outside Japan. But he was telling me that this is a game that is going to become something that they're going to want to bring to the U.S. Well, he plugged me into a little link, a game, part of the game that he recorded and played. And I'm going through this, and I went, I don't think that's going to fly at all, because you went from really superb animation, and then you went to almost childish, and then back to superb again. And of course, this is all in Japanese. I don't understand a word they're saying. Nothing makes sense to me. And my friend wasn't really cooperating with me either on that. He just wanted me to watch this and see what I thought. And I told him, and he came back with the same comment. He says, the people who got this game together, if you spoke Japanese, you'd love it. But they really got to do a whole heck of a lot of work on their animation before they could ever market that game outside of Japan. And I went, I believe you, because I would not want to go near it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important to usually have there's a certain style. Like I think the '90s anime style still holds up quite well, early 2000s, but it certainly helps. But it's the character development that really helps with anime. And if you like the characters, then the story will probably just fall into place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said you're kind of a recent convert, or being introduced to the anime. So, with you talking with Brandon and all that, right?
Yeah, I've watched certain animes that he's watched, and we've talked about that before. But anime is one of those piece of art or entertainment that can be very relaxing. You have every type of anime that you could possibly imagine, from the harems with the women fighting over a boy, or the vice versa. Excuse me. Or you can have one where characters die, and it can be even a harem, and they can die. Or you can have ones that are comedies that are good. You can have one that is comedy and drama and also action, like Full Metal Panic. That definitely has all that. Fan service, where there's basically like inappropriate situations and the male character does something inappropriate but he didn't mean to, and then the woman slaps him, because there's a lot of violent women in anime.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of violent women, very very violent, and it's usually not the man's fault. It can be switched around, but characters die and they actually make you feel stuff. And then there's anime that gets recycled too much, and you're just like, oh, this is the same situation again. I'm tired of this. Like, it's just, yes. Yeah, I'm sure you do, Anonymous.
I noticed that too.
Yeah. Well, as the old joke goes, is boobs and blood, anime.
Right.
But,
right. And it's there's action ones like what was it? Was it Black Bullet? And anime also can get weird. It can get very disturbing, but it also can make a point with the characters, like, oh, this is what happened to him, and that's why he feels this way, or this is what happened to her, and this is why she turned out this way. And it can get into dark themes, including sister and a brother, and the sister doing something to the brother when he's younger. And it's like, man, that's very disturbing, but it also makes sense why this character is like this.
The funny part about incest in Japan, it has a different context than it does here.
Right.
That's what I'm told by this buddy of mine who, like I said, he knows Japanese inside and out, having lived there amongst them. Do you speak Japanese or read it?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
I had to ask that.
I know a few words, but that's about it.
I had to ask that question because, I'm treading in an area that is really kind of scary. A friend of mine, who I trust him completely, he's a great guy. But some of the stuff that he sent me, and Animus, you would love some of the stuff he sent me. Oh yeah, believe me. It takes me aback. I'm going, how is not this for general consumption?
Yeah.
And I'm going, can they do that?
And I just want to welcome Luke the Kook from WASD-FM. How you doing there?
Hello, Luke.
Stopping by to say hi. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about like the disturbing stuff, they're like, one of a lot of people think anime, they think, of course, Akira. and that really gets weird and bizarre. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful film with the animation and how they did all that work.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah,
What? Sorry.
Yeah, there can be a lot of nice work gone into it. Then there can be stuff like Akami ga Kill, where they kill off so many characters because it's edgy, and a lot of main characters, it just gets stupid. They have an idea, and it's like, wow, this is really dark, and then it just goes off the rails.
Mm-hmm. Like one of the things that when I was with Brandon, we took a look at some shows, and one of which was High School DxD.
Mm-hmm. Oh, High School DxD. What does Brandon think about that? It's something.
It's something.
It gets dark. It gets dark. It gets goofy. But in the last season, I had stopped watching it because it just started recycling the ideas again, over and over again. It's same with stuff like Mach and Key. It's the harem and the thing. Like there's some funny stuff in there, and it gets serious. I mean, the characters do die in that. It's crazy, but.
Well, that's kind of a refreshing thing. I mean, back we had Johnny Quest. People got killed off from that show. And,
I guess they did. Jeez.
Yeah, that was one of the most amazing things about Johnny Quest. It's like, wow, they didn't hold back on that. And obviously, when you take a look at
as long as there's a purpose.
Byron,
right?
Am I right on that one?
What was that?
That they were the first one to really do something like that.
Yeah, I would say for having a show like that, yeah, I think they really were. Definitely. Most definitely.
I don't recall seeing it before, ever.
What is your favorite Cash Money? What's your favorite anime?
That's a tough one. I would probably say Trigun is definitely one of my favorites. I love that whole space meets Western. Really, really good anime. Wow, that's a tough one. That's definitely one of my favorites. That's why I always have the Avatar. But
yeah, I'm used to seeing crit monies.
Probably another one I liked a lot was Full Metal Panic. You have these goofy situations, but you have the robots, you have the love story, you have a lot of interesting aspects to the anime. Those are probably some of my favorite ones. I thought Tenchi Muyo was good. I didn't love it, but it was good overall. What else? I'll have to still think about that. To get back to
no problem. Oh yeah, no problem.
No,
I saw one this friend of mine sent me, and I actually saw it all the way through, and it was strange because some of it was subtitled in English, but not all of it, and the rest of it was all in Japanese.
Right.
And they had it in English called The Bunny, and what it was Harvey. If you're familiar with that old movie, the White Rabbit that nobody sees but Dowd, and they did their version or take on it. The animation was really good, I thought, really good. And what came through in translation that they had subtitled was really funny, and the film footage and everything else. And I went, "Hey, you guys, wake up! Translate that whole thing, or subtitle the whole thing, and put it out on the American market, because I'll guarantee you, people are going to die laughing over it." I laughed at it. It's simply called The Bunny.
Okay, I might have checked that out.
And I just want to say hi to Das Wolfen. How you doing, Das Wolfen?
Yep. My Hero Academia, I would recommend, Baron. It's just there's definitely some really good animes out there. What's another one I like? I thought Love Hina was quite funny. Love Hina, yeah. That was one of the earlier ones that I watched. I also like Suzuka. that's a love story. Now, some people say, "Oh, this is a creep," and and I'm like, dude, they're living in the same building. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's just so funny how people feel about these animes. But yeah, there is definitely some really. I think the first season. I don't know how I feel about the second season, but the first season of what is it called, the Shield Hero, Rise of the Shield Hero. That one
Okay, yeah.
is very good. Highly recommend that.
Excellent. Good to hear that. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. And hi, Green Lantern 345. Great to see you here today. I'll pop that up there. And Mike, I'm going to move on to you here and put you on the grill. You had your season finale today of the box score. Another season of baseball is under the belt now, and now you're waiting for next year's season openers.
Yes.
I suppose it's kind of bittersweet. It's like, well, it's coming in, no more baseball. Of course, the Cubbies, they're in the wild card, right? Or they're not?
No. Unfortunately, the Cubs didn't have what it took to get into the playoffs this year because of some injuries in the first half of the season and struggles that they were having on the offense and on the pitching side. Losing Kyle Hendricks really hurt the team. And then you look at the Cubs record in the second half of the season, finishing with 39 wins and 31 losses in the second half of the season. And it makes you wonder what could have been had they been able to stay healthy in the first half, put together some offense and some good pitching in the first half, and carried it over into the second half. They might have been in contention for one of the wild card spots in the National League. You never know. Losing
Right.
Kyle Hendricks really hurts because he's been a workhorse for the Cubs ever since he made his debut in 2014. He pitched in game number 7 of the 2016 World Series, and he should have been able to complete that game all the way through, but Joe Madden decided to lift him for John Lester. But losing Hendricks in the rotation did hurt the Cubs, and having an offense that didn't have a lot of power in the lineup to begin with didn't help. So they were relying on small ball a lot. They only had a few guys in the lineup that actually had some pop in their bats, and you can't rely on home runs each and every time. But you also need guys in the lineup, even if they have pop, to actually drive the ball into the outfield and maybe hit it to the wall. And of course, with this season coming to an end, there's a lot of questions remaining for the Cubs for this offseason coming up, which I will cover occasionally with the spinoff show of the box score called the Box Score Malvisit, where I'll talk about some of the trades, some of the rumors going on, and some of the baseball related news every now and then. It won't be popping up like the box score itself does during the season, but I'll have it pop up every now and then when something major happens.
Oh, good.
There's a whole lot more of than triples.
And, with the Cubs going into the offseason and Wilson Contreras, who's been with the Cubs for 14 years, he signed as a minor league infielder, and then he was converted to catcher. Well, he's now going to be a free agent. And the Cubs could extend a qualifying offer to him for 1 year, but the Cubs, and I blame Tom Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs, for this. They've dropped the ball. They haven't offered him an extension, and he's a guy that you want to build around because he's a team leader. And they say that they're going to make moves in the offseason, but it's one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it.
You're sounding like a Twins fan here. We've had that type of discussions here.
Now, I'm a Twins fan on the AL, but I am really, honestly, and truthfully a Cubbies fan in the NL. And there's nothing better than I like to see somebody stomp the heck out of Atlanta.
And John Rindle has a question for you here.
Ooh.
Is Angel Rodriguez still umping?
As far as I know, he is retired.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. I didn't know that.
So obviously, baseball is a very important thing for you. For your relaxation, for your enjoyment, for your hobby.
Mm-hmm.
You really seem to have these stats and figures. Knowing, I bet you could tell us even years ago stats on people on the Cubs organization, and you've always been a Cubs fan from the day you know
Since
were with
1988. Since
'88.
1988, I lived in San Diego. I'm not gonna say the exact area, but I lived in the San Diego area, and I had some neighbors who were originally from Chicago,
Mhm.
and I had a friend who was their son, and he had a brother, and he also had a sister. Now, the thing about the parents is my friend's dad was a Cub fan, and my friend's mom is a White Sox fan. So hi-
Ooh, divided family.
his mom and his sister, you know, being the White Sox fans, would always say, the White Sox are better. And of course, his dad, his brother, and himself were like, nah, the Cubs are better. But what got me into the Cubs besides them was watching Ryan Sandberg play and how
Mhm.
he just, showed up each and every day and gave it 100%, whether it was on the field or at the plate. Now, some people have asked me, okay, you like a sport. And then they find out that I like other things like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and,
Mhm.
you know, talking about movies and television shows, talking about shows like Sliders from back in the day,
Mhm.
Quantum Leap. And they're all,
Mhm.
how could you like sports? They're boring. I won't. It's just one sport, folks.
Mhm.
One sport that I like, that I've always had a passion for. It's baseball. It's because it's a game that requires patience. You know, nine
Mhm.
innings. The games can go, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours if the game goes into extra innings. Yes, baseball is trying to implement rules to speed up the game, but as a longtime baseball fan, I say leave the game alone. Just like you
Yeah.
see them changing characters, you know,
Mhm.
in Star Wars from what Luke once was to what he was turned into.
Mhm.
It's like, no, no, no. If the recipe is still working, keep it. Don't add, Ghost Runner in extra innings. These teams have to earn their runs, just like a character needs to earn their growth. They need to start off one way, and by the end of the TV show, movie, or novelization, however many books, they end up another way.
Mhm.
There's a question for you.
John, you're gonna hate me for this, but the Pirates finished with 60 wins and 102 losses.
That's not good.
No.
No.
But the Cubs had a spectacular game, 15-2.
Yes, yes. They
That
won
was
today's game 15-2. You had home runs by David Bodie, Ramil Reyes, and starter Adrian Sampson came out of the game after 2 2/3 because he hurt his groin.
Ooh.
A- And, the Cubs put on an offensive show, but at the same time, just because they had a good offensive show the last day of the 2022 season doesn't mean that the, you know, day that March 30th comes around, which is opening day against the Brewers, that the Cubs are going to continue because you don't know which one of the guys that are currently on the roster before they become free agents. I'm sorry for laughing, but
I had
But you don't know which one of these guys are going to be back because of free agency. You don't know which one of these guys are going to be traded in the offseason. The Cubs have a lot of young prospects, both as far as pitching is concerned and offense is concerned. So there's a lot of questions. Just like whenever you hear, oh, Brains of Power isn't doing well. I can tell you, as someone who watched 3 episodes, I didn't enjoy it. I felt like the show was a waste of time. It didn't draw me in like the Peter Jackson trilogy did. And with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I went with the extended editions, even though people were saying, watch the theatrical cut. I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to go in, I might as well go all the way in and watch the extended cut. And I enjoyed all 3 of those movies. Why? Because I like science fiction. I like fantasy. I like it all. And if I don't like something, I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, on certain terms. He's told me he doesn't like me a lot of times. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's not true.
No. I know, but the thing is, as you're talking about being with the geek, science fiction geek stuff and baseball and all that, there is correlation with sports and science fiction. And I remember Next Generation, they tried to sit back and say in one of the episodes, some guy was telling Wesley that baseball was all but dead. But then we looked at DS9, and one of the big passions that Commander and later Captain Sisko had was baseball. You mentioned, of course, Doctor Who. And the Fifth Doctor, he was running around in a cricketer's outfit. Yeah. And there is sports thing. So, I mean, there is a tie-in between sports and science fiction fantasy. There's a lot of people that enjoy both. It's not one of those things where it's exclusive to one. You can't do the other. You can't be a Star Wars fan and be a Star Trek fan as well. No, I mean, we love it all. If like you said, if it's good.
No. Yeah, I'm listening, Phil. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike. Just Phil's starting his shenanigans again. Yeah. Phil, don't make me throw a tomato at you. You get no coupons, all right? None. None.
And even when the Cubs aren't on, and this goes back to when I first got into baseball, I would try to find other baseball games when there wasn't an episode of the original series of Star Trek or Next Generation or even Deep Space Nine or Voyager. And one of the voices that I liked listening to, and we lost him this year, was Vin Scully.
He was a giant.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
I can't do a good impression of Vin Scully, but, everybody knows about his call for Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. And Kirk Gibson comes to bat against Dennis Eckersley.
Yes.
And he said, would you believe this? As Gibson is coming from the dugout into, the batter's box, Eckersley throws the pitch. And that famous call, in the year that has seemed impossible, the improbable has happened. He just knew how to call the game. A lot of the older broadcasters just knew how to paint that picture, whether they're on TV or on radio. They knew how to paint that picture.
Because it's like smart to be it's smart to be a storyteller. I mean, Joe Davis that we have now, and even Oral, there's just so much knowledge there. It's great, but no, there's no one who's ever going to be like Vin Scully and some of these other people who have fortunately passed away. They had a certain personality. I love listening to Vin Scully talk about the Civil War when he decided to change the topic or something was going on that time or honoring this. He just understood, it's just, he was a storyteller. And yes, Scully's going to be missed a lot. It's time for Dodger baseball. It is great. It's even sad to me, and I never even met Vin Scully in person, but it still hurts because Vin was a huge part of the Dodgers, and I'm a massive Dodger fan, and that's all because of my brother. But I've supported this team for a long time through the good and bad, and Vinny never sugarcoated anything, and I always appreciate that. Just like Joe Davis doesn't sugarcoat the Dodgers. If they're screwing up, he's going to let you know.
And one thing I always appreciated about Vince Scully is you have announcers nowadays, just like, writers of these articles and people on social media that like to put down other franchises and, fans and their opinions.
Yes.
And, these broadcasters will say, oh, the Cubs, they're absolutely horrible this year. They can't do this. They can't do that. Vince Scully wasn't like that.
No.
I never heard him say one bad word, not just about the Cubs, but about any team that the Dodgers were playing.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they would be saying they're having a hard stretch or something like that.
Mhm.
They'd be, they'd let you know. I do know they're not doing good, but I'm not going to call them a bunch of bums.
Right.
One thing I got to interject here is that my brother box scored by hand every game that he could from the 1950s early. And I'm not kidding you, by early, I mean 1953 and on. And he had these books, box scores of all these games from all these different teams. And the Baron knows this is true.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Fanatic. He could, I'm not kidding you, if you wanted to have somebody handicap a game, go to him. He knew everything. I knew nothing. I mean, he was just a mega genius in that way. Well, he had a photographic memory, which is really bad. I can't tell you the number of times. I was with him one time where some guy was talking about some player. And my brother sat back and said, no, you're all wrong. He never had statistics like that. Well, how in the world do you know? And he said, I know. I bet you don't know what you're talking about. Well, he bet my brother $25, which at that time was a heck of a lot of money. My brother hauled out his book of all the baseball record cards. And he says, go to page such and such. Third picture on the top. Read what it says. The guy read, oh, fudge, and he handed it over. He knew all this. He had it all memorized. I mean, if you can imagine somebody picking up a baseball record book with all these cards in it and tell you where it was in the book and what it said on it. That was it. I mean, he was a genius in that area. You guys would have gone nuts meeting him. He passed away in 91, unfortunately, way too young, due to a heart problem. But, oh, yeah. You guys would have freaked out with him.
Well, that's the thing. You say that he kept a record of everything that went on in every year with a box score. And for anyone that's unfamiliar with what a box score is in detail what different players did during a game. What they did during their at-bats. Did they have 3 at-bats and maybe only get 1 hit? Well, then you look at it and you see that they've gone 1 for 3.
And what came down in the play, he hit it to the center field, so it went from 5 to 1 out.
Like a report card.
Yeah. And you also write down in this box score, even when you look it up in the newspaper, how many innings the pitcher went and how many runs were charged to this pitcher. How many times did somebody score off this pitcher?
And he knew all of that. That's scary.
I mean, going back to when you're talking about with, of course, our announcers. I had a teacher when I was in junior high, and he always sat back and said he liked watching the game on the TV, but turning the volume off and turning the radio on to listen, because he always thought that the radio people were better because they're having to describe everything that's been going on, unlike someone who's on television that's just responding to what you saw in that aspect. And we had our big announcer who passed away a few years back, Herb Carneal of the Minnesota Twins.
Never did.
And he never did wrestling, even though he did do wrestling in the day with announcing and stuff. But he kind of said, "Oh, I never done that."
That's a Minnesota joke.
Well, and that's the thing with some of the great broadcasters you would hear, regardless of what team. I mean, I mentioned tonight that it's been 25 years since Harry Carey broadcasted his last Cubs game. And Harry Carey began his broadcasting career with the St. Louis Cardinals. Then when the Cardinals let him go, he moved on to the A's before joining the White Sox for a number of years, and then winding up on the north side of Chicago with the Cubs, replacing legendary Cubs broadcaster Jack Brickhouse.
And that is what he's known for. Among the time you say Cubs, you'd think Harry Carey.
Oh yeah,
boom, right there.
Major League, and Euchre in there just killed me. And how many places I thought he would be the most perfect announcer for that.
He is a good announcer. He's the radio voice for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Euchre is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's something else. That's for sure.
Ball 4, ball 8. I remember Vinny was talking about that. He mentioned that when he was still broadcasting. It was great. So funny. And then, yeah, all those movies should have been rated R, but they're like, oh, well, let's open it up more for younger people and let's make it PG-13. It's like, no, because then you can't let Bob Euchre do as much.
Yeah, right.
That stinks.
Yeah.
The hell with it. And it's just so funny. Like there's this, you can't say that on no one's listening anyways. Like there's just so many great lines in the first Major League. And I don't know if they'd be able to get away with that kind of stuff now.
No,
I'm not sure.
No.
Probably not.
No.
They should.
In the movie,
it's funny.
League is this drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
right.
Mr. Iron Man was just straight and sober. And as it went along and they started winning, Euchre becomes straight on dead, not drinking. Well, guess what?
Right.
The other guys started drinking all the time.
Well, now that we're bringing up the topic of movies, isn't it amazing? Even though you have some great football films like The Longest Yard.
Yeah. I still think Remember the Titans is a great movie for that Disney deal.
Right. So if you have some
true story. Yeah.
Exactly. You have some great hockey films. I mean, Slapstick and a few others like that. But it seems like the
Miracle was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which of course is about a bunch of Minnesotans with all that. So
it is
like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it seems like the big go-to when it comes around to sports has been baseball for us throughout the ages. You take a look at all the movies that came out, and that's despite what anybody says about the game, that's what people seem to want to gravitate towards. So a good baseball movie.
The one thing I heard from a psychiatrist, and everything else, and he sat back and said, "You know why football is popular, and you know why baseball is baseball was from all the guys that worked their posteriors off and the ditches and everything else. Baseball was what brought them down from the drudgery of their life. All the awful people that sat on their rear ends and didn't do anything and had these delusions of being something became football fans."
So I have, of course, a question for either one. Mike, Cash Money, whoever wants to answer first on this. What is your favorite baseball movie?
Oh, well, I think for me that has to be Major League. Though the one with Robert Redford is quite good. The Natural.
The Natural.
That is quite good, but I'd probably say Major League is probably my favorite baseball movie.
Did you know
And
that
for me, go ahead, old man.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Mike. The Natural was actually written about a real player. And what happened with him, it's easy to look back through the records and find out. I can't think of the names. But the guy was tremendous. Well, he's single. He got this note from a fan that wanted to meet him. And, oh, yeah, okay. She came to his room. I don't know if he was expecting fun and games or what. But, she shot him. And he survived.
Oh, wow. Oh, crazy.
It's for real, and that kind of what inspired that movie.
Yeah, I just want to say, Phil, don't mess with League of Their Own. League of Their Own is still quite a good film. It really is. And there doesn't need to be a remake or a reboot or a TV show or any of that nonsense.
No.
That's all
leave
nonsense.
that alone.
Leave it alone. It was based on somewhat of a true story, or maybe more than somewhat.
What do you mean, somewhat of a true story? It was a true story. The All-American Women's Baseball League. They were playing baseball while our men were overseas during World War II. You had Joe DiMaggio fighting in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have players today fighting in any kind of war.
No, that's probably true. That's
and
okay,
I want to hail
Andy
Masterson, the great puppet maker himself. You did a great job in the latest Darth Pappy, by the way. I saw that in his Darth Pappy and his nemesis Elf.
Yes. No, Gina Davis actually was very good in that movie, guys.
Yeah. I think they all did a good job in that film.
Yeah, it was even Madonna. Like Madonna was really good in that. She was also really good as the Blank in Dick Tracy, another underrated film. But yeah, sticking with the baseball, League of Their Own, I was never always sure exactly what was real and what certain things. Yes, the league did exist. Dugan, Jimmy Dugan. He was a real person or there was somebody like him. I think I don't remember if he was exactly real or if there's someone like him. Okay,
the Wrigleys, who were basically, renamed in the movie, but the Wrigley Gum Company, the Wrigleys who owned the Cubs for many of years, actually did help start the Women's Baseball League.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the marketing didn't work. I mean, I'm sorry to break it to people, but the WNBA is not making money. The women's national team is not making money, not because they're women, but because the marketing is poor and it's not as exciting as the men. I know that's hard for people to understand, a number of people, but that's the reality. Work on making your sport better and don't rely on the men to do it. Start marketing the sport more because there are some great female athletes in these sports, but
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. I second that.
And these guys came home. I don't think a lot of you even comprehend this. The guys that all came home were combat vets. When they played baseball, it was war. And you heard about that stuff, the rhubarbs, the fighting, everything else. It's all for real. These guys were soldiers that had fought and killed. And now what did they do? They came home. And it exploded. That part of baseball was just unbelievable by today. They would never allow a game like that to ever exist.
And how about you, Mike? What is your favorite baseball film?
I'm going to say a few lines from it. He's in Spain. Go the distance. Field of Dreams.
Field Field of Dreams wants to go to
I don't know
higher.
if you could hear me whispering. I don't know if my mic was picking it up on it.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's coming through.
Yeah.
But Field of Dreams, I mean, it's just one of those great baseball movies. I mean, Kevin Costner, you know, he's an okay actor, but he does real well in this. But who really takes the whole movie is James Earl Jones as Terrence Mann.
I agree 100%.
Who was Joe?
Yeah, Ray Liotta,
Who
who passed away.
Unfortunately, he's gone.
Yes.
Heck of an actor.
Yes. Well, so was James Caan. He passed away recently too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lost.
Brian's song.
Yeah.
And who else was in? Who was in Brian's song with them? Not Paul Winfield. No.
No.
I'll cheat and look it up.
Okay, I always leave it up to you.
Phil, I don't have a dog, man. That's somebody else's dog.
I don't get one either.
Unfortunately, it's one of mine. Yeah, it's one of my little doggies.
Yeah, I figured. That's okay.
Little wiener dog?
I don't know which. I think it's BB.
No.
Okay, so the cast listing for Brian's song is James Caan, Billy D. Williams, Jack Warden, Bernie Casey, Shelley Fabres. Hope I'm saying that right.
Shelley Fabres?
Yeah. David Huddleston, Judy Pace, A. Gibram, Jack Cocoon, Edo Bradovich, I can't even speak right now. The Chicago Bears staff. And let's see, Ron Feinberg, V2 Kabuka. We had Jim Book and Larry Delaney.
When I was young, Shelley Fabres was really hot.
Yes, she was.
You bet. Oh, yeah. A lot of the boys had a lot of fantasies, to put it nicely.
But yeah, Field of Dreams is a good choice. And I have to admit, I do like Major League, though. A lot of good laughs and a good story, great cast in there. And but it just seems like baseball is important to everybody in fans of science fiction fantasy. And by
there's been
themselves,
some good ones too, like Little Big League, and even the one about the manager that was about the Twins. Like that was Little Big League, and then Rookie of the Year. Those were good stories. They're not Angels in the Outfield. I don't remember that one too much, Phil.
I do.
Phil throwing out some.
Yeah, Angels. There are actually two of them. One was done like in the 50s, and they remade it in the 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the remake that actually came out during my first trip to Chicago. The same friends who were from Chicago were going to visit their relatives who were still in Chicago at the time.
Yes,
and while they were there, they had only gotten there a day before. They called my mom, and my friend's mom and dad said, "Hey, Patty, would it be okay with you and Bart if Mike met us in Chicago?" And my mom said yes. My dad said yes. And I ended up meeting them in Chicago the next day. So it was like, this is my first trip to Chicago. And of course, at that time, the shows that I liked watching were Babylon 5 and, Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and a few others. But you know, I'm take my first trip to Chicago. My first game at Wrigley Field was between the Cubs and the Reds. And I still remember who the starting pitcher was for the Cubs. It was Jim Bullinger. And the Cubs ended up winning that ball game 3-0. But the highlight of that game wasn't just because the Cubs won, but it was seventh inning stretch. And being able to sing along with Harry and sitting right underneath the broadcast booth. So all I could basically see was Harry coming out of the broadcast booth and just waving the microphone around. And it's been a while since I've done an impression of Harry, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Take me out to the ball game, and then saying the whole sound. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I. And then of course he gets for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. And that was a highlight because prior to that, I'd only seen it on TV. You know what my life consisted of most of the time? Especially since I was 16 years old at the time I went to Chicago. It was watching science fiction, whether it be Babylon 5, Next Generation, or Deep Space Nine, or anything else that I could find, like Time Tracks, or any other series that caught my interest, and watching the Cubs.
That was a very precious moment for you.
Yeah.
Go Wrigley Field itself. It's kind of nice. The EarthCam app. They have a camera right in front of the Wrigley Field, and they popped that up quite a bit. So it's like, oh, kind of nice.
Because one of them. I'm sorry, old man.
Do you know why Wrigley Field didn't have lights?
Because they donated the materials that they were going to use to install the lights to the war effort.
You got it 100%.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel when they did put lights in Wrigley Field finally?
Honestly, it didn't bother me because I was only starting to get into the Cubs, so I didn't understand why so many people were adamant against it. Wrigley Field was one of the last places you can go to see just daytime baseball, which I'll be honest, that's the best time to go watch a game is during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend that lives in Chicago who's a Cubs fan. When they put the lights in there, he said it is sacrilege.
Mm-hmm. That's how a lot of fans felt.
Mm-hmm. Even though they were going to put them in.
Yeah. And even though during the 88 season, you can see, the installation process going on. So, the Cubs would come back home to Wrigley, play a game. You see more and more of the lights going up. And then, of course, the first night game, that actually got rained out. So you have another night game. The original night game was against the Philadelphia Phillies, and that was on 8/8/88. But it was actually the next game that was the official night game against the Mets because the prior game got rained out. But there's still video there of the players during the rain delay, and the rain's coming down heavy, and the field's covered by the tarp, and you see players using the tarp as a slip and slide. You wouldn't see that from players now.
No, it's like they're almost put themselves above us. They're in many ways full of themselves. It's like too serious. It's like it's a game. It's only a game.
Yeah. I mean, still talking about baseball, but when I saw Back to the Future Part 2 for the first time in '89, and of course there's that scene where it says Cubs win World Series against Miami, but then you get to 2015, and what ends up happening? The Cubs are in the playoffs. and you're thinking, did Back to the Future predict Cubs win the World Series in 2015?
It was
No,
close, but not quite.
they're off by a year.
What? It happened.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. It happened after all those years. And hopefully it won't take us long next time.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
My brother made
I'm just going to say this. The Cubs have a better chance of winning another World Series before we see good Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who again.
I can tell you guys that Andor, since I've been watching Andor, and besides Mandalorian, Andor, if you like that espionage, you like that Mission Impossible kind of stuff, you enjoyed Rogue One, you'll probably like Andor. Andor's actually been, I would say, good. I'm not blown away by it. I'm not gonna jump out the window. Oh my gosh, Andor! No, but it's been actually good. But I did also enjoy Rogue One a lot. So I can't say that about a lot of Disney lately. I just can't. I mean, I just can't do it.
It's kind of how everything is gone, and even creeps into our sports, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like,
taken during the national anthem.
Yeah.
I'd have benched every one of the SOBs.
Yeah, there's still people. I mean, I think you should at least stand. But even when I went to a Dodger game a few weeks back, or maybe it's been a little bit more than a few weeks, there were some people who didn't stand. I'm like, well, the way our country is going, I hate to say it, I can't blame them. I really can't. But I don't know. You probably should still stand for the national anthem.
Well, yeah, you love your country. You might not like your government.
Right. Exactly.
Old farmers. Old parts and what happened. To play the national anthem, I had some guy in front of me that didn't want to stand up. He had a hat on his head. I think he did right after I wrapped him across the ears really hard. Turned around, he looked at me and said something, and I said, "Stand up, take your hat off, or I'm going to break every bone in your body." He stood up, took his hat off.
One of the things I remember, of course, my mom always told me about it, but my grandfather, her father, was a big Twins fan. He lived out in North Dakota, doing a farm. He specifically got radio to put on his tractor so he could listen to the game while he's out in the field. And you have a good evening, Anonymous. Take care.
Anonymous. Have a good one, Anonymous. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it.
Well, that's why we got Mike.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying of yourself there, Mike, were Doctor Who. Who's your favorite Doctor?
I've got to say it's Matt Smith. And then David Tennant. Yeah.
Okay. And do you ever watch the original series?
I've watched an episode here and there, but I mainly got into new Doctor Who. You know, you had your David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi, which I think Peter Capaldi got the shaft with some bad storytelling. And
I still like his Doctor. He's sarcastic. I don't know. I just like his demeanor. From what the episodes that I've seen from him, and I've watched probably a number of those before. But
and I've only watched one episode with Jodie Whittaker, and that was the New Year's Day episode premiere with her taking over as the Doctor. And I didn't watch any more since. I'm all, what
this
the
is my Jodie Whittaker. This is my Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah, I watched that episode of The Spiders, and then, of course, a certain orange man was brought into that. I'll just leave it at that. But, or it actually doesn't matter if I say the name. But, I was like, why is Trump brought into this at all? Like, these politics don't make any sense. Like, they don't need to bring any of this in. And I was like, oh boy, now I know where Doctor Who's going. And and also Jodie Whittaker, And I've had an argument with some random person about this. It's really funny in the past, and I was like, no, why is she so indecisive about everything and asking her support people, her staff, whatever you want to call them, or friends, about what she should do and not make the final decision? That's what I saw with her Doctor Who, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I always felt Doctor Who always makes the final decision. He's a freaking Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Australia on R&R, and I was in a pub, and I couldn't figure out what this horrible noise was coming in. I look up, and I look up and go, oh shit, what's that? Oh, it's Doctor Who. And I watched Doctor Who, the second Doctor. Brand new episode. Everybody was excited. 2 nights later, I was in the same pub. Once again, drunk on my ass. And they played a rerun of William Hartnell, the first Doctor. But that was a rerun. And I'm going, oh, wow. It never hit me at all back then. Not one damn bit. Sorry for the language. I apologize. But I was so completely blown away by the first one, which was, what's his name? The doctor from
Troughton.
Hale, huh?
Troughton.
Thank you. Patrick Troughton, who was the doctor in The Exorcist. But,
No, he's a priest.
oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. But I watched that first series, and I actually got to meet him. And tell him I saw the show back in when it was new in Australia. Well, it's not actually new, it's like a day or two later. But still, I got to say that to him. He was real, oh, wow. And at that time, I was just starting to understand Doctor Who. And the one thing I could never understand is, oh, the Daleks are after this. The Daleks are after us. Run up a flight of stairs.
Mm-hmm. So I take it for you, Cash Money, you're also more of a new Doctor Who fan than... We lost him. He's gone.
Cash,
I'm still here. I'm still in here. Yeah, no, I've watched some newer Doctor Who, but like because of my dad's influence, I've watched old Doctor Who. I liked it. The Daleks and I've just never been a massive fan, and I always laugh when, like, I think it was Honest Trailers, they said a lot of people did drugs and then basically wrote an episode. I said, yeah, probably. Because it just gets pretty weird. But the Doctors, I like the Doctors. What I think I liked even more than Doctor Who is I like Torchwood, which was a spinoff. I like Jack Harlan, I think it was. I think is the main character.
Harkness.
Jack Harkness.
Harkness. That's it. Thank you. Harkness, or is it Harkness?
I can't remember anymore. Captain Jack Harkness.
We'll just call it Captain Jack. Fine.
Captain Jack.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that show a lot, especially the whole thing where they brought the man back from the dead, and he's like, I don't want to be here. That was a really interesting storyline. I can't remember the character, but yeah, Doctor Who like was always weird, wacky, this and that. What they've done with it lately and what they're going to keep doing with it, it's just more about politics now. It's not about the fun and the and this and that. It has to be some kind of, it's going to go in some bad directions. And even though the showrunner is back, I see this thing becoming just it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We'll go with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's going to actually fall for sure. I don't think they're going to bring back a lot of the hardcore fans, but Doctor Who that I have actually watched, the Daleks, the old Doctor Who I thought was fun. It's like, oh, this is cool. He's like a Time Lord. The new Doctor Who, like Mike was talking about, Matt Smith I liked, and I like Capaldi, and I like Tennant that I've watched. I haven't been a huge Doctor Who fan, but I have watched it. I do like it.
Well, you're a fan. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean if you're huge or not, you know. we have all our different levels. Of course, getting a little bit late on here, but first, before we continue on, I do have a commercial break I need to make, so we'll be right back after a word from my sponsor.
Theo and his science class are testing what makes sour things taste sour. Curious, Theo wonders if there might be other compounds to test. Maybe Gilbert, the class guinea pig, could be used in testing for sour. There you go, little fella. Hey, good work, Theo. Scientific evidence of Altoid's curiously strong citrus sour flavor.
And I want to thank Altos for being my sponsor here for Baron After Dark.
I would have.
Are you kidding? If they showed that commercial today, there'd be an outrage on Twitter.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
Probably. Well, we'll show it on Twitter later. Hey guys, I'm sure it's still up on YouTube somewhere.
Oh yeah,
I think that's probably where you got it. I don't know.
Exactly, I got that there. Yeah.
What I think one of the greatest sci-fi British movies, or TV series rather, Red Dwarf. Dead silence.
I don't think I've watched that one.
I haven't watched it, so I can't really say anything about it.
Oh, you gotta find episodes of it and give it a watch. It's a good science fiction fantasy show set in 3 million years in the future. So it's a good show. It really is.
I love it. It's fantastic and it's funny.
I'll check it out.
You'll check it out.
Yeah, particularly when we see them kill Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother. Mm-hmm. So both of you, of course, are content creators. And, of course, we know there's been some ups and downs with the old YouTube. What are your thoughts of how things might be going in the near future with all these shifting changes back and forth?
I think it's going to harm us more than help us.
I think we need somebody who actually cares more about freedom of speech. Like if Elon Musk is serious, that could start a chain reaction if he has officially bought Twitter. I don't think we're there yet, but I think that's where we're actually leaning towards. If you get somebody who really cares about freedom of speech, then and not censoring people for saying things that even are true, then yes, things will get better. But right now with YouTube, it's a mess. It's subscribers being removed, people being censored for things. Who knows if they should be censored or not. Sometimes you don't have to do certain things, like with Aaron Paul, or was it Aaron Paul? It's not Aaron Paul. That's the actor. I'm thinking of Logan Paul or whatever, showing certain things. Like there's probably a fine line where, dude, what are you doing? Like maybe you need to be censored for this, but YouTube, it's just like Twitch, has their own problems, and they can fix these things, but I don't know if they will. You can only go so far, and when you say stuff, especially against the almighty government, they're probably going to censor you, or maybe even take down that stream.
Yeah,
which is the same pretty much as censorship. So I don't know if it's going to go in the right way. Yes, they've given us a platform, but to censor people for saying things that are even truthful, that I do have a huge problem with. And that's happening on a lot of these social media platforms, unfortunately. So,
YouTube used to have a slogan, broadcast yourself. And they've gone away from that slogan.
Yeah.
They've taken the U out of YouTube.
They have.
And they've made it more corporate.
Well, yeah, but Google has it. Of course, we all know how good Google is for a company when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, right.
To suck the creativity out. Exactly on that.
I got that story for you guys that have podcasts that have to walk on eggs to get through a show.
Yeah.
You'd like to say, and even if it's absolutely 100,000% correct, shouldn't be considered offensive at all.
So,
and they got an axe over your head.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
The Sword of Damocles. Mm-hmm.
I don't take having a channel for granted.
Well, yeah, it's great.
I'm
You got your
grateful for each and every day that I still have a channel and I'm able to talk with you, old man, Cash. I've been able to talk with Anonymous, Phil. Come on your channel and talk to John Randall.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're very much a family. I mean,
Yes.
like I said, that got in there. The Force is a dysfunctional family.
Yeah. Being able to talk to Paul and do Tuesday Night Trek. Again, coming back to your show, Baron, and being able to talk to someone like Wendy.
Yeah,
exactly. You start finding new people, new friends, new family. I mean,
Yeah.
you start finding out your extended family's bigger.
Yeah, watching 24 and you guys do the Primetime Kings with Vigilante and Fat Steven.
Yeah. I miss Fat Steven coming over.
Hey, it's your boy 24 here.
Yeah. Well, he's out there now again.
Yep, he's starting back up. He's getting things in swinging the gears. So hopefully we'll have some good news very soon here. Yep. But it is getting late, and I'm not a spring chicken no more.
Oh, so shit!
But before we go, I'll let Cash Money go first. Do you have anything to promote? Your channel? Anybody? Anything like that? Or?
Well, on the Phantom Hooligans this week, just wanted to make sure things are set up and not that there's going to be problems with the censorship of music or anything. And I'm going to be starting Saints Row 2 on stream. I've never played a Saints Row ever, so it should be fun.
Okay. Should watch you and torment you like Phil does for Paul. And of course, Mike, obviously you have your show Wednesday before mine, but you also have something special coming up here.
Yes, on Saturday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be having a stream called Get to Know Us. It's where YouTube and Twitch content creators can come on the channel. It's an open panel and talk about what they do on their channels and what their channels are about. It's not a sub for sub type of deal. I don't want YouTube or Twitch to get that kind of idea. It's just to help others discover channels that they might otherwise miss. And then it's up to that individual who, goes to the channel to see whether or not they want to subscribe. Again, it's not sub for sub. It's trying to get other channels out there so they're not all bogged down by so many other channels that you never see them.
Great.
You can bypass Mike Zero.
Huh?
Oh, so Mike is secretly Mike Zero. I knew it. Okay.
No.
It's a second channel. I get it. Nope.
No, actually, the second channel is Pacific 4 and 4 and so much more. I only have 37 videos on that.
Yeah, I just found it. I actually subbed to that the other day. So I didn't know about this one. I don't know.
I don't talk about it that much. It's a channel where I could put the video on the main channel, but then I go, yeah, I'm going to put it here. Because it's not what I really promote.
And that way, if anything happens there, it doesn't affect your main channel.
Yeah.
It's Mike redoing. It's Mike going out there recreating the fan dance that Uhura did in Star Trek V. For film.
Oh gosh! If I did that, people would be canceling me left and right.
Me first.
Or they would applaud him.
I'd wake up in the morning. Your channel has been terminated. Go to Twitter. Your Twitter account no longer exists.
It would be very brave and progressive for Mike, for sure.
For once, though, you have Phil McCracken going out there doing hashtag Save Pacific 414.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yet he wants to cancel my channel. That's amazing.
That doesn't seem right. Why do you want to cancel the Phantom Hooligans and save my channel?
I don't know. I mean, people have been having fun on the Hooligans, so I figure I'm doing something right.
That's the reason why people are having fun on your Hooligans. That's why he wants to shut it down. He's a cranky old man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Get off my lawn.
Well, also, at some point, Cash and I are going to be talking about season 5 of Cobra Kai.
Yes, we will.
We just got to find out what day we're going to do it.
Yes, exactly.
I'm probably one of the few people who have not watched that show, but I don't have Netflix for one. Good. And I wasn't a big Karate Kid fan myself.
That's all right.
I know.
Well, I mean, Karate Kid 2 is goofy, and so is 3, but
yeah,
1 is still the best. But there's still some good messages in there compared to. Just stay away from the next Karate Kid. That one is just it's a mess.
Oh no! I would never go to that one. Not at all. Oh no!
I've watched some of that before. No.
No, definitely not. And good old Pat Morita. Gotta love Pat.
Yes. Morita. Yeah, I mean he had quite a career. So.
Do you know what he called himself? He called himself the Hip Nip.
Did you know he also did stand-up comedy at one point in his life?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's how he built himself. When he did stand-up comedy, he called himself the Hip Nip when he did his comedy act.
He was funny in anything he really was in, and he could be serious. I think his last role was he did a voice in SpongeBob SquarePants. It's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he did, and I think
he's a karate teacher or something. Yeah,
and it was aired after he passed away, unfortunately.
Yes. Oh, was it?
I think it was.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah, and he had to fight for the role of Mr. Miyagi. They didn't want him, and he had to keep going back and say, "I can do this role." Just give me a chance.
It's crazy that he was on Happy Days. He even popped up on MASH a few times. Amazing.
Yeah, he was great fun to watch on there. He even had his own show for a little while. I can't remember what it was. Mr. T and Tina or Tina. I can't remember what it was, but that's why when he left Happy Days, he went to do that. Then he came back several years later to do Happy Days with Big Al DeVicchio.
Yeah.
Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you for coming in and pitch hitting for me here. If Salty Texas C does get to see this, I hope you're feeling better, and I look forward to having him on for the next week. Mike, Cash Money, great having you here. Of course, Old Man as well. And definitely be talking with all of you in the near future.
Definitely.
And your links.
Thank you for having us on.
Yes.
Really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get links going because it was short notice. But you all have a great evening, and you're my brothers, me compadres, and of course all of you who are listening. We wouldn't be if it wasn't for you. We wouldn't be doing this. I mean, you're the big reason we do this, as well as having the fun. So, Baron Norman Tag for my panel here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Excellent. 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 This is excellent news, Doctor. Excellent. 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 Excellent.